Well, mahalo as we look at OKO Wrist Lock number 10. Once again, this is going to be in our 12 o'clock green zone, left leg slightly forward. And it's going to be an opponent's right hand to left hand grab. When he grabs, then we respond. I'm going to create distance, canceling the second weapon immediately as I up clock with my right foot. I'm going to bring my hand in front. Now my right hand is going to attack his thumb that is grabbing my wrist, allowing my left hand to release. After I strike, I want to re-grab his hand and let my left hand go free. I'm going to collapse my elbow to check his elbow, to prevent that elbow from coming at me as I reach up and grab the meaty part of his tricep. I'm going to pull in towards me and push his hand that I have behind his back. This is a common arrest procedure when taking someone into custody. And putting them into, it is often called a four-finger lock, or putting their fingers at their back. And if they continue to resist, in order to control them and create pain compliance, you point their hand up towards their head. In doing so, you're putting pressure on the shoulder and the elbow joint. Depending on their level of pain tolerance, and if they're on medication or illicit drugs, will determine how much you need to crank that hand in order to control them. So once again, from the beginning, we're going to step and strike. Grab, or re-grab in this case, check that elbow. Hook up and grab, and we're going to bring that hand up underneath. Their elbow is going to go into our armpit. Left hand is now released, since I have their arm contained in a temporary chicken wing position underneath my arm. I'm going to grab their collar or their shoulder, and I'm going to shift my weight into them to put their weight onto their left leg. Allows me to borrow balance, borrow force for the knee strike, really a distraction strike, in order to take them down. I can step the reverse with my left foot and to drop them down on the ground, close seal, and follow up. Once again, stay tuned for the concepts and principles and a little bit of a close-up of that lock flow in order to maintain control. Aloha mahalo as we look at OKO Wrist Lock number 10, concepts and principles. Once again, it's a right hand to our left hand wrist. So here's his arm, and he's grabbing my wrist. As I step back, once again, notice I created a divergent line. I'm going to pull him towards that line, towards my 430. As I do so, remember we're going to strike the wrist, and I get to re-grab. Allows me this left arm to collapse. Notice when I collapse, I'm going to be able to use that as a strike towards his arm, maintaining control. Now, if it were Chris, if this is Chris's version, if we want to put it this way, I want to add a strike. Instead of just snaking up and grabbing by the elbow to continue the lock, I want to first strike and then lock. So in other words, as it comes in, I'm going to create that line, strike, re-grab. Strike. Now here's where Chris's strike comes in. I'm going to contour my fist down to the iliac crest, down towards his hip here. Then that allows me to grab behind the tricep or the hook of the elbow, and then to control him. Once again, strike, re-grab, strike, strike, hook. Notice the minor manipulations, the minor shimmy. From this point, I'm going to create that temporary chicken wing. I'm going to create that temporary chicken wing by pushing and pulling, so that I get control. We're going to rotate that arm behind him. And then I'm going to lock his arm into my armpit. My right arm is going to then continue control. As I do so, my left hand gets free and I can grab to then respond. I can shift weight. Notice that if this is his arm and I'm shifting weight, I'm pushing that weight onto the other leg, allowing me to borrow balance for that knee. We create room with our foot maneuvers, and then we hit him with a planet. So what do we have here? We have a distraction strike to allow us and to give us time to control his weapon. We have what we call collapsing. Both his arm collapses and our arm collapses. So once again, as he grabs and I strike, my elbow is going to collapse into his arm, into the strike. And is then going to expand to the strike, collapse to the hook to allow me then to control him. We also see the in-air chicken wing. As I say to my students when they're doing strikes and that, if their elbows up and out, they gave me free ribs with some barbecue sauce. And we want to keep our elbows in. We want our opponent's elbows out in chicken wings. Once again, we have the off weighting so that we can borrow balance, borrow force for that knee strike. We have the step through reverse to create room to hit our opponents with the planet. With that, this has been a dive into OKO Wrist Lock number 10. Aloha, mahalo, and live pono.